A difficult conversation to have with anyone is that of addiction. And though it's so commonplace and there's so many of us who suffer from it and are plagued by it, our stories may have different beginnings, but the conclusion is usually the same: prison or death. Very seldomly do you hear of a story where their addiction ended in some sort of joyful, harmonious ending. When I was in my 20s is when I started my addiction. I was prescribed Vicodin after an accident, and though I was able to get off of it that time, I think it was 2 months after that, I broke my foot and was prescribed Vicodin again. That time, I couldn't get off. My tolerance for the pills just increased, and I ended up turning to Percocets, harder medications. Luckily though, that was as far as it went. It didn't turn into heroin use. I was able to substantiate my addiction by selling drugs, and it was sort of like I had no choice. It comes down to, how am I going to afford this? There's no other way other than selling drugs. My habit personally was $1,000 a day, and I knew I was on a precipice of just losing it. If I would have lost like 1 or 2 days, there was no savings. Luckily, I went to prison though, and that ended my addiction. While in prison, that's where I learned about addiction. And before, I just thought it was taking pills, getting high, having fun. I made money. Unfortunately, there were people that got hurt, and I regret that every day. I learned how difficult it is and how it's going to affect you for the rest of your life. I watched my friends explain to me that they were done, their turnaround stories, and prison changed their lives. They're going home to start a new life, and they spoke with conviction. I believed them, and I found out later that nearly all of them had died from an overdose, and nearly immediately after they were released. Some I still found recently. When I got out, I looked them up, and their Facebook pages were a memorial. That was rough. I also learned about treatment. M.A.T, medication assisted treatment. It has 3 components, 3 types of medications that they offer: Vivitrol, Suboxone, and Methadone. And though some of them are controversy, the controversy stems from people who don't understand addiction. It's easy to say, just quit, just stop doing it. I've even caught myself saying that to somebody, actually a few times, and it baffled my own thinking, because I know you can't just quit. It's not that easy. In fact, it's impossible. In prison, the drugs are just as ubiquitous as they are out in society, only they're more expensive, and the ability to make money to afford them are limited too. If you don't have a support system, you're going to end up doing things you don't typically want to, or something you see a person normally do. And that goes all the way up to murder. You find hitmen in prison who will be willing to carry out deeds for you for drugs. When I learned about M.A.T, I thought this could be a good thing for me too, because I don't know what I was going to do when I get out of prison. When I was released, I like to imagine that I would have been fine. You know, it's easy to say I'm done. I haven't gotten high in years. There's no reason for me to now. I'm going to do the right thing. But that can't be right, because I watched other people say it, and so sincerely. So as a way to avoid myself running into that same problem and dying, I asked the Department of Corrections if I could get on M.A.T or try it. And they denied me, and I then offered suggestions and reasons. Why wouldn't you want me to be on treatment prior to being released? I mean, when I get released, I can try to get on M.A.T, but it's that duration in between from release to getting on M.A.T is what I found is the arduous part of the process. one of my friends, he got out and he was all for getting on M.A.T, and he had an issue with talking to his mother about it. She was against it. She believed that M.A.T was just a way of getting high. And I remember offering, myself to call her, to write letters. I told him, she has to understand. There has to be some sort of way she understands. You're an addict. It's almost like a no-brainer. I need to be on treatment or I could die. He got out and he did overdose. And he survived it though, but it was bad for a little while. We thought he wasn't going to make it, but he did, and he's a great person. I still talk to him today. So then I decided to sue the DOC because I was studying law, and I figured, why not? This would be some practice. The federal judge denied me very stereotypically and biasly. He basically accused me of wanting to get high off of M.A.T, and I figured there's nothing I could say to this guy, so I transferred it to a different court, the Commonwealth Court, who then made an opinion in April of 2022 saying that Rokita and all inmates should be entitled to the full panoply of M.A.T. And I remember the DOC objected, saying, well, that we can't possibly afford that because the M.A.T also has methadone. We refuse to give methadone to any inmates because they could take it back to their cell and blah, blah, blah. The court then opined in our favor, my favor, and said that's a security issue. That has nothing to do with a person who needs treatment. If a person needs that treatment, you have to offer that to them. You're going to have to figure out a way around that. I was elated. And I was up for parole. I was granted parole in July, and I was going up to medical for treatment. I was going to be the first one at that time, and the DOC retaliated on me. Long story short, they were able to rescind my release date, which was October, and they gave me a 10.5 year parole hit. So my new release date was to be April 2033. Clearly I fought that, and I was out, and not without a battle. They were writing me up as often as they could. They were tearing my cell apart as much as they could. But I'm here, I made it. And I just seen somebody today, Ashley, who talks to somebody in prison, and she said that her friend is grateful that he is able to start on M.A.T prior to being released, and it reminded me why I did all this. So I thank Ashley for saying that. Also, while I was in prison, my cellie, nearly a lot of my cellies, they also struggled with addiction. One, his name was Pat, and he's serving a life sentence. And I would think, God, to be in here for the rest of your life, struggling with addiction, it's difficult. The drug dealers, or the kingpins of it, are prison guards. They're the ones who bring in the large quantities and, distribute them to, underlings. I understand why. They make, I think it goes for $100 a strip, which equates to like $5 on the streets. So, and that was at a de minimis. They were sometimes charging $400. I think I've seen them go for $700 at one time. So there's definitely profit to be made, and I brought that up to the DOC and the courts too. Why would you not want to stymie that temptation, remove that temptation from your staff? Or put body cams on them. That's another thing I would like to implement. It would solve every problem. There would be no, it's his word against your word. It's no, the guard's word is more credible because he's a guard. It would be, well, watch the tape. And it would also benefit staff too. I met Pat in 2020, and his addiction was bad, but he was a great person. And he ran into some issues. I remember people wanting to go after him because he had owed money, because, again, drugs are expensive. And I know what you're thinking. Well, tell him to just quit. It's not that easy. It wasn't that easy for any of us. And I have watched people get stabbed in their eyes over drugs. And people's plural. I've watched 2 people have their eyeballs stabbed. Well, one actually, his eyeball didn't get stabbed. It went between his eyeball and socket. The other one, the eyeball came out. There was so much destruction and damage over addiction, and to think that all it would require is treatment. The DOC once told me I shouldn't be addicted anymore because I've been in prison for so long. When they told me this, I had 7 years in and theoretically 3 more to go. And I explained to them there was no magical archway that I passed through when I came into your prison. It just doesn't dissipate. It didn't disappear. And maybe it's, it receded for a bit, but when I get out, what happens then? Does it come back? And what do I do? Wouldn't it make more sense to put me on treatment prior to me being released, as opposed to just sending me out into society without treatment and then to fall back into an addiction? And who knows what that could lead to? Clearly, it's going to lead to crime, because what addiction doesn't? And Pat here, because of my lawsuit now, they have been implementing Suboxone. They started out with Vivitrol. Prior to my lawsuit. That was actually what had me start the lawsuit, requesting the full panoply of M.A.T, because Vivitrol is more of a medication aimed at suppressing alcoholism. And I never had a problem with alcohol. I'm allergic to it. So I thought that wouldn't help me. So, when I was released this last year, on July 16th, that same day I went to the ER and told them I need medication. And they gave me Suboxone. They understood addiction. They didn't ask questions. They didn't ask to talk about it. They gave it to me. And they gave me enough until I was able to get into a treatment facility. And I'm still there. I'm still going there. And I'm grateful for them and the people there who understand, because there are more people that don't understand. Pat's being denied treatment right now. I'm not going to say denied. Well, I guess I am, because he has a life sentence, and the DOC doesn't believe that a person with a life sentence needs treatment. So they're delaying his treatment, and I imagine they're going to try to delay it forever unless we do something about it. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my friend and my old cellie, Pat McCamey. Oh, and Pat, thank you for all the tattoo work you did on me. He does a great job.
They expanded the M.A.T program, okay?
Yeah.
And everybody, there's like 150, 200 people in this jail alone that get it now, okay? So what the thing is, what I was told is that they were given $9.6 million for every institution that would open the M.A.T program. Because I guess in Fayette, they're having a real issue with overdoses and things like that. I guess it's so bad that they have lock boxes with Narcan on the block.
I am.
So, they started this, so they put my referral in, okay? And then the head medical staff, I kept writing about it. So the head medical guy, his name is Justin Hensel, he calls me up to medical one day and says to me, writing request ain't gonna hurry anything. I said, well, there's really no other way that I can do anything except for with request. And he said, well, listen, your referral was put in on the 13th of February by Mrs. Such and Such. He says, but unfortunately, since you're a lifer, you got kicked to the bottom of the thing. And I said, well, do you want to put that on paper?
I am.
He said, no, I don't want to do that. I wouldn't do that. I said, well, it don't matter. I said, because in the law's eyes, I said, a verbal agreement, a verbal communication is the same as a contract. I said, you got to prove that you didn't say it as much as I got to prove you did say it. And there was another lady in there, and I said, and I hope you're listening to all this. So I filed a grievance about it, saying, that they're discriminating against me being a lifer. And so then I went to the superintendent, and they're saying that no, that they're not discriminating against me. That they only have one doctor throughout the whole state that sees everybody, and it's just I said, well, then why's all these other people getting put on it without me? You know better than anybody what a burden that would lift off of me if I didn't have to.
Yes, I talk to people about this almost every day, and the importance of M.A.T and Suboxone, and I mean, it's a lifesaver. Pat, when I got out, I Googled a lot of people I was in there with, a lot of my cellies, to see how they've been, and 3 out of 5 of them are dead. I mean, their Facebook was it said, I came up and said, this is a memorial to, and I couldn't believe it. And then I looked it up. They all died from overdoses, and I remember them being my cellie, saying they're not going to get back on drugs. They're done. They're clean. They're cool. And they died within, one died within the first week, and the other ones were within 2 months, man. So, I mean, that was the whole reason why I pushed that lawsuit. And when you told me that, I started emailing some people. So, because that's not right. You shouldn't be put on the back of a list for treatment.
Just because of my sentence, man. They're saying, this is the thing, they so if they put the referral in, they're recognizing my issue, they're recognizing my problem, they're recognizing it, all of it. But now the dude literally said that to me. He said, well, we got 100 guys alone. He said that are getting out within the next 6 months to a year that we need to put in priority. I said, so what? I said, so listen, if me and them same 100 people have cancer, you're treating them before you treat me just because they get out in a year? That doesn't make no sense. He said, I'm not disagreeing with you. He said, but I'm just telling you how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't right, Pat, but I mean, there is a priority list, and their word is going to be more credible than your word, just so you know that. But I'm going to make sure you get on that, because I mean, you of all people, I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and we were talking about people who've gotten stabbed, died over addiction. It was one of my friends who's gotten out, and he was explaining why he didn't write to me or talk to me, and then he said, yeah, man, my family, they disown me, and it all came down from stemmed from addiction. He finally got on Suboxone. So there's a lot of testimonies to the good that it could do, and especially in there, man. Out here, it's sort of different. I was really surprised.
Right.
But
everybody I talk to in here, Rook, tells me about, man, can you imagine the violence it would cut down? How what a burden that would lift off your back. Like how these do. Just like you said in that lawsuit, it makes people do things that they would never do.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, it's not. This jail is way different than Housdale. It's actually, this place. It sucks because of the way the way it's locked down a lot. But I work at maintenance now. I work for the masonry crew. Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. I go to work at, like he just said to go up at 9:15, and I said, well, call him back and tell him 9:45 because I got a visit. But yeah, and my boss, he knows, that I really know what I'm doing with this. So like yesterday, where there was like five other guys with us, and like he explains to me what he wants done, and then pretty much lets me go. Like I was running the transit and everything, and like I said, that sort of makes you feel human a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it makes me feel like like because like all this week I went and worked pretty much like 8 hours a day. I go at work, and then but you always have that monkey on your back. What your next, how your next thing is, and they don't understand that, like with the officers, with everything, that the way it would cut down. They just had a staff assault here on a sergeant last week. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, it was all over dude being flustered from not having his fucking fix for the day. That's what so
I remember a lot of people. It was, and they would get upset and so angry. God, we lived
yes,
together. I
yes,
remember we were ready to
yes.
fight over you not getting your.
Yes,
Eh,
it's a burden,
yeah.
bro. It is. And listen, if I get blood pressure meds, I get cholesterol, I get blood pressure, I get all these different meds. Okay, so I go if I'm taken, and I do get what I need for the whole time of the month, and I don't take none of my meds. Okay, and I go up, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I see you're taking your blood pressure meds, and your cholesterol's good, and this is good, and that's good, and I'm like, yeah, well, you know what, I ain't took a single one of them. But if I go up there and I'm stressed out about that whole situation, everything's always, they're like, oh well, we got to get some blood work to make sure, because your levels are all high. So it's definitely not just, it's for stress, for depression, anxiety. It's not just for doesn't just help with addiction.
Well, what the reason why people are against it, the whole anti-Suboxone movement, we'll call it, is because people are saying that it's like it's just another means of getting high. It's like a free high. Remember, that's what they said to me when
Right,
I
right,
filed that
right.
petition, and even the judge said it. You're just a drug addict trying to get high. But if they did the research, or if they were actually smart, they would learn that when you take what's prescribed, and you can't not take what's prescribed, because if you take the sublingual film, you have to take that whole thing. You're not going to get high. It's
Right.
it's it's
It,
when you microdose, you actually have that, slight euphoric feeling. But most people in there, it's really different, and I really couldn't explain it. I didn't know it until I came out here. In there, it's because I guess we have nothing else to do, so the desire to get high is like through the roof, and the
right.
Suboxone is what, I mean, it mitigates that. It takes that away. It lets you do other stuff like focus, work on your rehabilitation. And without that, I mean, it's a downhill spiral. Why wouldn't you want somebody to be on treatment, start on treatment before they get home, and even a lifer be in prison on treatment for the rest of their life? It eliminates drug pandemic, I will say. But
Yeah.
it it does it does sort of take away profit. It roots out the competition. You know how much money rogue officers make off of those things?
Oh man, hundreds of thousands.
You were my selling when we were buying
Yeah,
them.
hundreds of
a hundred
thousands, man. They
dollars.
got it.
Um,
Yeah, there was just a dude that got stabbed on the walkway here, or he got actually cut across his chest. Okay, and it was all over that, man. It was all over that. It was over $50 So it was over 5 pieces that weren't what they were supposed to be, and
uh,
then the jail, the prison, security thinks they know everything that's going on.
um,
They're trying to say, oh, well, it was gang related. No, they were both on the same. They were all three on the same gang. Or all four. It was actually 3-on-1, but they were all four from the same gang, so it definitely wasn't gang related. I know what caused it, but who else is here? SP.
who?
Remember SP that punched
Oh
on
yeah,
Smitty?
SP. I thought you said SD.
Yeah, he's here.
Damn.
Yeah,
Memories.
he just got into a fight and got his ear punched off.
Well, I was just about to say, Pat. Well, first of all, since you brought up $50, you still owe me $50, and let's see
You
your
need it? I'll tell
scar.
my sister to send it to you. Huh?
Let's see your scar.
Where?
Don't you have a scar here?
No.
You weren't cut here?
No, that was all bullshit, bro.
No, I thought you were cut.
No,
Oh.
no. It
You
was
were on
like
the
a
other side of the
little
jail.
like a little scratch.
But you were
He
cut.
tried to, but no, yeah, but it didn't even. I moved it. I moved. I seen him coming, and I moved.
All right, so there's no scar.
Yeah. No, there's no scar.
But it was over drugs.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was over drugs. You know that.
I know. That's I mean that's the hardest thing is talking about your own stuff. It's so easy to say to talk about somebody else's addiction and the problems that they cause, but you got to really focus on yours, and that's why I had to focus on mine. But Pat, I'm gonna make sure you get on that.
Yeah, you know better than anybody my downfalls and things, and I really when I came here to this facility, I decided that I'm not going to cause the issues that it caused in the other one. Like I wanted to be like the guy like you. When you walk down the walk, everybody talks to me and greets me, and I've been doing legal work for people. And thank God here, it's never become. It's at such an abundance. It's never a problem. For real, like
I know, man. That makes a difference. It's a shame that's the way it is, but.
Yeah. But they said Fayette, bro. You remember 40 Calvin Huffman that was down that I think he was on D block and A block. No. He was on A block when you were on A block. Not the last time, but the first time you were over on A block, he was over there.
No, I mean, years ago,
but he's here now, and he came through Fayette for his violation, and they got him on they actually got him on a capital case now. So he was at Fayette, and he said that it's such a problem there. You ever hear that drug called Xyzalane or something? It's what they cut that fentanyl shit with.
Oh, I didn't know that, but yeah, I seen the commercials for it.
Well, it's that tranquilizer shit that they're using, the same shit that killed my daughter. Okay. Well, he said that they figure out that's what the problem is at Fayette, and he said that literally, man, he said, you'll go out the yard. He said, and it don't matter. He said, there'll be like 2 guys working out. He said, and then you'll have like 100 and some dudes over behind the handball court, all he said zombified. He said they literally they call it Kensington Ave. That's what they call the handball court at Fayette. He said it's really, really, really bad. He said it's actually sad, man. He said to see.
Yeah,
he said people doing everything they can to get a hold of it, because they think they're smoking deuce, and they're really smoking Xyzalane, and don't understand why they're getting sick when they don't have it. And I guess it's like a very, very bad sickness. I don't know, because that shit wasn't out there on the street when I was out there. That's all new stuff. But hey, I just I finally I'm waiting on my tablet to come back, so I'll be able to message you longer messages, and so. As soon as it.
It only gives you 15 minutes to type at the kiosk, and if you're not a fast one-finger typer.
Right, right,
uh,
right.
uh,
Yeah. So what? I see you got everything set up with your all your certificates and stuff there. What is all that? Is that?
well, you were in the cell with me. That's what I was working on. This is what I completed. That's my paralegal degree up there. Well, and then that's the from creative writing. The creative writing class I was taking from, it was a
Right.
course from
Yeah.
Germany. That's
Oh, okay.
construction. Oh, I got my CPR that stuff. Electric. And you remember I did electric, which I forgot I completed that because I was thinking, God, the paralegal stuff, it's being replaced by AI. So if I'm not going to stay in law, I was trying to think of a contingency, and then it clicked on, it dawned on me, oh yeah, I know how to do electric.
Oh, okay.
But
So what do you mean it's being? What do you mean it's being done by AI?
man, Pat, the world is completely different, man. I I haven't eaten at McDonald's yet because I don't know how to. It's everything I asked, and this is I asked my phone, my AI, for a statute because I couldn't remember the statute, and it told me, and then it created the whole motion for me.
Really?
Yeah, and it's on the I guess those like Forbes list of what it's like the top 10 what AI is going to be replacing. Paralegals like at the top, and another big one is those people who are like they read those cardiologists those diagrams. I mean, they went to
Yeah.
medical school, and they're being replaced by AI. That's
Really?
yeah. There's a
I
few
don't
jobs it's taken
understand
out.
how does it work though? Like how does AI? They talk about it in here, but like what does it? Because 40 that just come in here, the one I was telling you it was at Fayette. He told me that he when we were talking about this and me filing another lawsuit about not getting my treatment. Because like I said, I put the referrals there, so they admitted. He said, listen, you need to get somebody on the street to type in your situation. He said, and it'll print out the whole lawsuit for you. It'll tell you your best way to go about it.
It really does. I put
That's
out you. I did the one question you asked me, right? That was
yeah.
you, and it brought up my case. Oh, and I
Wow.
did one for somebody else, and it brought up Face's case, the one for the Act
Really?
84. Yeah,
Yeah. What did they ever do with that?
I mean, I don't know. When I got out, I didn't really know how to set up the social media thing, and when I finally did, he was on there like already had a message for me, and so I messaged him back, and he never messaged me. So I don't know. Do you remember Bashir?
Yeah.
You do remember my friend Bashir?
Yeah. It was like your cousin or something like that, or
He was like my brother. We
right. You live together on A block.
Yeah, and we started out
Yeah.
the same sentence. He's back in,
Really?
and I just found this out because he got out before me, I was supposed to get out before him because of that situation. And when I got out, I couldn't find him. I finally then learned how to look him up in the inmate database, and I seen he was on the parole database, not on the prison database. So I figured he's out here somewhere. And then I looked him up again the other day, and it says he's just sentenced for assaulting some cops, and he got sentenced to 2 to 4 years for that. And I mean, you know what parole is going to do to him?
Right. They're
He's
just
probably
gonna
going to
keep.
do 12 years off of that.
Right.
I
Right.
so
Right.
I
Right.
emailed him too. Then I haven't gotten an email back. I'm sick about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
He wasn't out long then, huh?
No, and we went over it over and over. You know what we're going to do to avoid coming back, man. And he swore to me he had it.
Well, hard thing to do. If unless you're in a situation and you got a mindset like you have, bro. Like there's not a bunch of people. You're like one of 1,000 that actually did what you said you're going to do when you got out, like, and you gotta be able to occupy your time, and a lot of them guys don't have trades and stuff to go get work, and they fall into the dumb shit again.
It.
So listen, how you gonna help me get this, Rook? What's
I'm on it, Pat. Listen, don't worry. I'm gonna send some emails out today. So as soon as I hear back, I'll let you know. And a matter of fact, be on the lookout because I'm gonna make sure somebody comes to see you there. So you have my word. But how's your appeal going?
Well, it actually was going good. Okay, the federal court is granted the stuff with the jury saying that should have been a mistrial. Okay.
Okay.
And I thought they were going to make them give me a new trial, which is what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But the district attorney, appealed their decision. So it goes to what the Pennsylvania Superior Court, right?
No, you were in the federal court, right?
Yes, or it'll go to the Third Circuit, right?
The Third Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yeah. So
you always got to expect that,
their
Pat.
decision. So, but I mean, I really didn't, man. I thought they knew. I figured they knew that they were wrong, and they were just going to let it go and then give me some. I mean, they're changing that second-degree murder thing anyhow. Here
That's what I wanted to talk
25
about.
years.
your charge is second degree, right?
Yeah.
I read so many and worked on so many cases, everything starts to blend in. I remember your co-defendant is definitely second degree. I couldn't remember if yours was second. But yours is second?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that Derek Lee case is they're waiting on a decision right now. It's in the Supreme Court, and that could change.
Right.
It would at least give you a date to go up for parole, and it'll give you then incentive and the ability to get trades. Because right now, being a lifer, it's hard to get into any schooling and treatment because they, focus on people who are getting out. And that's not fair.
Yeah, you know what? My boss is getting ready to retire next year, okay? So I was talking to the other brown shirt up there, and he told me to go through the HVAC course, and that he would put me on his crew. He said, you're talked about. He said, you're one of the best workers up here. He said, I'd love to have you over here. So I put in to get into HVAC, and they said that, I would be put on the list and da 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 da. So then I wrote again. I said, well, where am I at on the list? And then I talked to the lady that runs the education here, and she told me, she said, I'm sorry, I don't like to say this. She said, but unfortunately, with your sentence, there's people that are getting out, and she kept telling me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but she said it's the way it is, and you're never going to get in there because you're always going to be, because of your sentence. So I told the brown shirt about that, and he said, "Oh, let me see. I'm going to try to email." He emailed. They said, "No, it's don't matter." He said, "Man, it sucks." He said, "But he goes, maybe I'll still see what I can do, and just still try to maybe bring you over when your boss leaves." But
well, stay focused. Don't let that stuff deter you, man. Because even if your appeal doesn't go through, or this second degree, this Derek Lee case doesn't go through, something's eventually going to give. I mean, it has to.
I know.
Just keep that in mind. There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel eventually. So
the only thing that bothers me, Rook, is my mom's 82. And my dad passed away there.
I remember.
And I believe he knew. That's why he come up and seen me. Because he came and seen me that Monday and died that Wednesday.
I remember.
So and I tell my mom that, because I'm so much closer here. It's only like an hour and 30-minute drive to my mom's. And my stepdad's such a piece of shit. He won't bring her, he don't. So my sister that was just on there, I just told her, I should go, listen, you can find out where you can get a plane ticket here for, schedule it a couple weeks away, and you can take $500 of my money if that's what it takes to come here to bring my mom to see me. Like if I have to do that 2-3 times a year, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. But my sister has your number, right?
Yeah.
So is that you got a Cash App with it, right?
No, that's my work number. I have to give you another. I have 3 numbers.
Oh.
I'll
Well,
text.
send it to my.
Pat, I ain't worried about the money.
Well, I was just going to take care of it so that we could, it could be taken care of. I finally got that shit figured out with my dad's money. So
I was going to ask you that. I remember rereading all that probate stuff for you, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't pay attention when I was in the class at first, when I was first started studying it. Because who would have thought I would never need to remember probate? Huh?
Yeah, it wasn't. It ain't as difficult as they make it. All it was to give somebody power of attorney. They went to the courts. They filed the probate, and showed as power of attorney of me. And as soon as they started the probate, the place in Hoover, Alabama, I actually, since I came here and seen how counselors and unit managers are supposed to do their job, they actually do their job here. And my unit manager let me make calls to the place in Hoover, Alabama, and he approved calls through the counselor. And I finally got to make the calls myself and be able to talk to people. It wasn't really that hard at all. The thing at probate, all they had to do is show that they filed it. Yeah. And they emailed it to the place in Hoover, Alabama, and the lady down there, her name's Tracy too. She put it in front of her supervisor, and her supervisor released the first initial. And then there's 17 more claims that have to be filed. There's a guy in here. Oh, write this name down. His name. He's in here. He's like what you do, bro. He's been like trying to advocate and he's got like 15 books out there. The one's called "It Could Happen to Any of Us." It's like saying how Pennsylvania system, how they screw us over.
I'm gonna look for that.
He is trying to start his own innocent projects out there because he was wrongly convicted and did 27 years. He's getting ready to get out. He got Michael Wiseman. And he talked to Wiseman, and Wiseman said that he would help me if, he would do what he could do, but he wants like 30 grand. He said he would take like 20 and then let me walk the rest down. But like I said, there ain't no price on my freedom, man. Like there ain't not, if I could give up every single dime my dad left me, I would do it if I knew I could walk out of the gates tomorrow. But I want you to look him up because he's trying to start and I'm gonna tell him you're gonna look him up. He got all kinds of different ways to contact him. He's trying to start an innocent project, his own innocent project, because what his issue with the innocent project is why does it take 20 years? Why does it take that long for a wrongful conviction?
A lot of those people and a lot of the innocence projects, I mean, I'm not gonna knock them all down, just like I wouldn't knock every police officer or officer down, but there are many who are in it for the wrong reasons. I mean, they pick cases that are notoriety that's going to give them a name. It's all commercial, man. Everybody's about money, and it's sad.
Yeah, he's actually one of the people that I when I first came into this jail, I didn't like him. I felt like he was racist, because he's black, and he's at one point in time he was a high-ranking gang member, and now when I first met him, I was like, this dude's a dickhead, and I even told him that, I'm like, I didn't like you at all when I first met you. Now he's like my He's like my right hand man. He was my neighbor for a while, and then that's when I got to know him, and then I realized like what he was into with the legal shit, and he was telling me about all the stuff he's doing, but he's doing it all from in here too. Like look him up, he's a good dude.
It's really hard to do it
I
from in
couldn't
there.
Yeah, he is. Like he said, anything that you do in here takes you 6 months from in here, what it would take you, 6 days out there.
I literally just this morning I read an article of mine that got published that I wrote last year. But
Really?
I mean, but the thing is, you can't give up. I mean, you were my cellie. You remember how many envelopes I sent out a month?
Yes,
40.
I do.
I made sure it was around in between 40 and 45 envelopes every month. And a lot of it was the same stuff because you got to stay on top of that, man.
You know that federal thing that you did for remember that blueprint that you gave me for the parole? Yeah. I just did that for a guy, and he got 188 days knocked off his thing.
That's good. I sent it to my friend in Monohoy, and he starts selling it. And then he's asking me to talk to these people to vouch for him. I said no, I can't do that, man. That's not for money. You weren't supposed to do that. I actually cut him off.
Right.
He just got another hit, and he's in the hole.
He got locked back up again?
Yeah. They only let him out because of COVID, and he told me that parole told him, because he had those write-ups. Parole told him if it wasn't for COVID, you wouldn't be getting out. So he got out, and then he emailed me, and he was talking to me for a little bit, and then I couldn't get a hold of him. My aunt looked him up, and she found out that he was back in jail, and he was at SCI Smithfield, and a guard there wrote him up for threatening his family. You know, they do that when they want you to go to the hole for a long time. Right. So that was 3 years ago, man. He's 3 years. Oh, and the reason why he's back is because he did like give a dirty urine or a paraphernalia, so he was supposed to start going to NA meetings, and he was going late, and he was giving them excuses, and the PO said, no, that's it, one more time, and one more time he took him back to prison. 3 times he was late to NA, went back to prison. He's been there ever since, and he just seen them in February, got a 6-month hit this time, and he wrote me. And usually I was writing on the envelopes, return to sender, but I thought, dang, man, he should be out. So I read it, and he says, I'm in the hole, man. I need a friend. So I'm going to email him, I guess. It ain't right, man.
No, he's in the hole again?
Yeah. That hole is a vicious place.
It was vicious, huh?
No, I said the hole's a vicious place.
Oh, yeah.
You've been there a lot.
I mean, yeah. I deal with it a little different than a lot of people. It doesn't seem. I feel like I get more legal stuff done, and you can get a lot of law library time when you're in the hole. You don't get when you're
I love the
here,
isolation. I love the solitude, but I thought I was like, an anomaly. People always thought I was crazy because I wanted to be locked in my cell by myself. But you see, now you're learning now why that's important. You really get a lot done.
Yes. And when I first came here, they had me as Z code, D code, and H code. I don't know why.
Well, I know why the H code.
But I actually I was a Z code for 2.5 months when I got here until they got it fixed up. Yeah, it was all right. And you know who my unit manager is here?
Who?
Barnett. Remember the black counselor and CO that was it? Yeah, Barnett. Barnett's my unit manager. And then you know who's the unit manager down on D block is Link.
He transferred there?
Yeah. He was a counselor see, this place is run the way it should be. Like the whole has their own counselor, their own unit manager, and he was the unit manager of the whole here for a while,
Link.
and then now he just got his own block. Yeah, Link that was our counselor on J Block.
Yeah, he was that was having me do all of those tax returns because he didn't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
I thought he was lazy.
Yeah.
Hey, before
he's here.
before this hangs up on us, Pat, put your case out there. You want to try to get any attention for your case?
Yeah, we
or
could,
your appeal?
We could. Yeah, we could do that.
Because I know your case is interesting too, like with the money. Because I explained it to a few people, and it's like what it comes down to though is even if you think that he may be guilty, that's the funny thing about the law. It's a reasonable doubt. There's a reasonable doubt. There's a possibility that he could be guilty, but there's also a great possibility that he's innocent, and therefore you can't convict somebody on that. And I think your case is a good example of that.
Definitely innocent.
Huh?
My co-defendant definitely shouldn't have got what he got, bro.
Yeah.
You know
that.
that.
Yeah, let's put some light on him, man. Maybe an attorney will hear this and open his appeal.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because he has a learning disability.
He's time barred.
Yeah, I know, and he has a learning disability, right?
Right. Yeah, he definitely does. So.
All right.
But yeah, we should be getting cut off any time, bro. I'm glad.